A boy experiencing weird visions teams up with a mysterious gunslinger to stop an evil warlock known as the Man in Black from destroying a tower holding all the universes together. Hello, everyone. I'm Caleb Leger.
I'm Connor Eyzaguirre.
Welcome to a new episode of Beyond the Bed. Today, we're talking about the colossal disappointment that was the 2017 Stephen King adaptation, The Dark Tower. Not our first choice, but WB is burning to the ground, so we had to make do. For those who know, it's supposed to be out this weekend. You get it. A film which spent well over a decade stuck in various forms of development hell that we will go into. It would finally release to meager box office success, just triple digits before its budget, not a lot. And negative reviews from both critics and the hardcore King fan base alike, including us two here. Before we go any further, I want to shoot you for the Rotten Tomato score.
I wanted this movie to be good so bad. I wanted my Dark Tower movie, but simply was not the case. Not yet time. It's not ripe yet. One day, maybe. I hope I live to see it.
Not this quartet. Not this one.
That word didn't even make it into the fucking movie.
Don't even get me started on what made it into the fucking movie. Go on.
So on Rotten Tomatoes, The Dark Tower is rocking a 15% critic score and a 44% audience score. And frankly, that seems high. The critics...
I guarantee it's people who didn't read the books are like, well, the movie itself's not bad. Go fuck yourself.
The critics' consensus reads, go on then. There are other Stephen King adaptations than these. So clearly, the people at Rotten Tomatoes read the goddamn book.
Yeah, I was like, so far, that's actually a major reference from the book.
Yeah, this is just a colossal disappointment to anyone who has, gone through that intense magnum opus that is Stephen King's The Dark Tower series. I can't imagine why he would sign off on this. It's not like he needed the money.
Boy, I don't know why. And yeah, I mean, I know you and me have both read the books. I know you've read all 7 originally published books. I've read the 8th book that got published a couple years later. That's really just a story within a story. Like, doesn't do a whole lot. It's the overarching story. If I'm being honest, no offense if Stephen King listens to this podcast for all people. I did also read the Marvel Comics prequel that launched. I have those actually in my collection still. That was pretty good. So I was like you, I was very versed in this. I was very excited for this movie because I was like, oh my god, we're finally getting it. It's finally happening. And after hearing about it for like a decade, and then I saw this piece of shit and went, what the hell happened?
I was on vacation in Las Vegas when this came out. I was with my great aunt Pat and my mom, and I convinced them both to go see this with me because I really wanted to see it. And I felt so bad the whole time because they both left completely confused as to what the hell that was because they didn't read the books. And I was just sad because I felt like, Vito Corleone when he takes Sonny to the embalmer and he's like, look what they did to my boy. Like, that's what it felt like. That's the best way to describe that. It was like I saw something I love get shot in the street.
Jesus. Yeah. And then like the fact that they've strung us along post this film, like, for those who probably don't know, because all Prime has talked about is, Lord of the Rings, which to the toxic fan base on that one, go fuck yourselves hard. Jesus Christ, guys. It is okay that there is more than just white people in a fucking fantasy show. Shit.
Yeah, weird hill to die on. Certainly. Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to do it, but it was like I've been seeing a lot of that on the news, and today I follow some of the actors on Facebook, or not Facebook, Instagram, and they had to release a statement. It got to that point, like it has on every other fucking show, and it's like, guys, calm down. Like, first off, the show's good. I don't those of you I like both. Well, I like the second episode a lot more than the first episode. Show's pretty good, and those who were like internet like review bombing it, go fuck yourselves. The fact that Prime had to put a 72-hour delay on reviews, which is why it actually showed us like 1 out of 5 all weekend. So I guess one guy slipped through the cracks. Like we shouldn't be at that point, but yeah, quick little side note on that. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. It's fiction. Like, why are people allowing, like, why are people letting their, racist mindset get into fiction? It's fucking crazy. Like, if you're going to argue that, like, black elves don't exist, fucking elves don't exist. It doesn't matter.
It's a fantasy show. Orcs aren't real. They're fake.
It's fucking crazy. You're crazy. You're an asshole if you believe that shit. If you're one of those people fighting for, white supremacy in fiction, like, stay the hell away from our content and go fuck yourself.
Yeah, in fiction. Oh god, it's called fantasy, people. It's called fucking fantasy. All right.
Yeah, rant over. Back
right.
to the topic.
Yeah, but point with that was when they picked up the rights to do that. So far, a good show. They also had picked up to do Dark Tower, and I remember I was getting real excited. I'm like, you know what? Fine, it's on Prime. We'll get it rated all this time. It will be a TV show, which will honestly be perfect for a 7 now 8 book series. Like with that, prequel origin comic, you have so much room to work with a TV show. I'm like, this is perfect. It's going great. It was getting casted. I was like, okay, we're making progress. And then Prime said they weren't moving forward with the damn pilot. And I'm like, I'm just never getting this. It's like I keep, and I'm dumb and I do this myself, and I'm holding out hope because of Lock and Key spent years going through various forms of development, and finally we got the 3-season show that we got on Netflix that just concluded. So I'm like, part of me is like, it's still possible, it can happen, but I'm losing hope, man. I want to see this like live action done right on either the big screen or my TV.
We need a King movie to be uber successful again. It opened the floodgates for a King renaissance, but then Dr. Sleep's box office failure kind of killed those dreams, even though that movie was really good and deserved way more attention.
Oh, it was super good. I'm still mad. That's like Tread. Like, god damn it, guys, go see it.
Yeah. So until we get another one that like rejuvenates interest in King's work again, and we get all sorts of projects greenlit, Dark Tower is dead in the water for good. And even then, if it does get interest renewed, who knows if the people who want to make it are gonna want to actually subscribe to the books like they did, or like they didn't do the first time. So I don't really know if we'll ever get what we want out of this.
This is like one of the worst like relationships I've formed with a intellectual property in my life. It's very one-sided right now. Like, I want a lot and it's giving me nothing.
Yeah, it's crazy. And there's such a rich tapestry of a story that's all laid out right there for you. It'd be so easy to do right. It's almost like you got to try extra hard to do it wrong.
Yeah, which apparently they did here. They tried extra hard to do it wrong here. I mean, a lot of poor decisions.
Oh, yeah.
God. But with that, this is a great segue into my question. And I came up with this because I know we're both massive Stephen King fans. So you've read plenty of books. I've read plenty of books. Not necessarily the same books. Whatever. We both understand King. We've seen plenty of the adaptations. We're King fans. I would argue most people on the FILMGAZM team are King. I know Josh is. I think pretty sure Austin is as well. We're all pretty much King fans. I'm sure Colton is, or will be. We'll convert him if he's not. But so with that, what do you think, especially in regards to this particular property, has proven so difficult to adapt for the screen?
Well, first off, it's 7 huge ass books. So that alone is like intimidating for people to be like, what do we take out? What do we keep in? I mean, just do it as a series, problem solved. But also the story intertwines with so many other King stories. There's a little bit of Salem's Lot, there's a little of it, there's The Stand. It all kind of connects into other properties. And I think that a lot of people just see this as unfilmable because of how insanely convoluted it gets and how much attention you really have to pay to the story to appreciate it.
Mm.
But as we've seen with, like Game of Thrones and Stranger Things, you can adapt or, you can make a large, crazy scale story palatable these days. Like it's not impossible anymore. So I really don't know what's holding people back. I think The Dark Tower could be such an epic series that would bring people back to King. I think people, would drive those sales back up again. That's for damn sure. It could be the nexus point to a whole King cinematic universe.
Yeah, which is why it's so crazy to me it hasn't happened, because we're in an age where we want cinematic universes still.
Yeah.
Or even a TV universe. Well, again, before the shit with WB and then CW, having to go for so, but what we were seeing with the Arrowverse on CW, right? Like that was a TV universe of shit. Now, I know you weren't a big fan of it, but still, it was the fact they were doing it on such a smaller scale, but pulling it off. It's like that's it. People were so down for that shit. So it's like you would think this would be a great way to do a Stephen King universe on. Again, if you can't do a feature film on a fucking streamer, you know what I mean? On like HBO or Hulu or something would pick up on this.
Yeah. I mean, is it any more complex than like Tolkien's giant crazy ass universe or, Martin's? I don't think so.
I don't, and I'm at a point where I'm tired of people saying it's unfilmable. I'm like, we have said that so many times that fuck that, nothing is unfilmable. There's just like, I'm tired of hearing that, oh, we can't do it. No, like how many other Dune for years was considered unfilmable, and I know, granted, I wasn't a big fan part one that came out, but it was a hit. Clearly, it was filmable. You just needed the right people. So stop using that excuse. Like I'm so tired of hearing that excuse. It's filmable. You got to find the right people. For me, and this is something I would like to bring up, and not just for this obviously adaptation. I think you're specifically the points you brought up do, yes, very much for Dark Tower alone. But I think, and this kind of goes cross board on all his adaptations, and the ones that we've seen work really well, and the ones we have seen not work. Right, King is so good at writing characters and character development, along with obviously the series he's known for, the horror he's good at. I don't think people talk enough outside of obviously his fan base and critics about how great what character is. That's why if you look at some of what's considered his best adaptations, a lot of them are not his horror ones. They're things like the Shawshank Redemption. That's not horror. It's a trauma. And all because it focuses so hard on the thing that makes King books work, and that is the characters he can write. And I think that's another thing that's proving hard for people, because of, you take that just for one book, but now he has 7 books of these characters he's so known to be good at that you have to follow for it. And like we were kind of talking about off, before we recorded, but Roland, he is a complex character. He starts off a fucking asshole. He is a terrible person when the book starts off, but as the series goes on, he erodes and he becomes the gunslinger. He becomes what he was held up to, his line of people are, as that series progresses.
I mean, just look at Eddie Dean, who shows up in the second book and never made it into this movie. We meet him. He's a coke mule. He's a junkie. He's worthless. He hooks up with Roland. By the end of the 7th book, he's a loyal hero who you absolutely love and has done so many good things for him and his. It's the road, like the Dark Tower, the characters in that book, like it is so cool to see them become what they become. It's, that's some of his best development ever. And also, bringing fucking Randall Flagg into that thing as like one of the chief villains and
Yeah.
showing the hand he has in this multiversal adventure.
And again, it being King, nothing like what they fucking did with this movie. It's so much more complex and nuanced how he is. Like, if I recall correctly, it's been a while since I've read, so give me, work with me here. But if I recall correctly, yeah, he's a main driving force of the first book, his presence, and then he kind of just disappears presence wise for the subsequent sequels. Obviously, he is still the driving force for Roland, but he doesn't really pop up as much in the sequels.
No, he has like the odd appearance where he like is checking in on them, but he's got his own thing going on. And then I think in book 6, he gets devoured by a spider creature.
Yeah, and
like the real
throughout
bad guy is his boss, who's mentioned briefly in the movie, but
yeah, if anyone's running the Crimson King, that's the real bad guy. Who we see in book 7. And then what if you're probably wondering what did they do for the other books then? Again, like you were talking about, because it's established fairly early on around book two, that this is a multiverse. He pulls in some of his other characters. We have in like book 5, Wolves of the Kala, where it's a fucking werewolf story, and that's what they're fighting. You have Pennywise show up briefly. He doesn't call him that, but the description, you're like, that's fucking Pennywise. That's the clown. So he pulls in his other baddies throughout the book series to pop up as villains on their journey. So it's like, that's why, like, I get it, because why I say not like in the movie with Randall Flagg, they set it up clearly to be like this long. It's like, yeah, obviously in the first book that was established, and if you read the prequel comics, that's established. But after the first book, he pops up every now and then gets cut off in the 6th book.
Well, it's definitely about Roland building they call it his quartet, his fellowship, so to speak, the people who are going to help him save the tower, and their adventures. And getting there is a slog, because it's like a years worth of journey, that they go to different places, they help out, they are interrupted, they fight giant robot bears and gods, and they go to one of my favorite parts is when they go to this one universe the world's been wiped out by a virus, and you're like, oh shit, this is the world from The Stand.
Yeah.
And it's like, just it's so rewarding. You never feel like, it just feels like he knows what he's doing, even after he had to rush the ending because of his accident, but he wrote that into the fucking book. Like we meet Stephen King in the 6th book. He's like the creator, and they have to like go save him. It's such a cool book, man.
Yeah, and it all works. And even like, and that's just the stuff. And you're probably wondering, what about the actual ward of Midward he creates? It's just as cool, way better than what this fucking movie presents. It's just as cool. And there's so much cool things he establishes about this ward operates, and like the gunslingers and how they were essentially the law. Like, they would go out and help all these different communities out and save people and do their thing. Like, they were revered, they were looked up to.
Yeah, they were like the Knights of the Round Table combined with the judges from Judge Dredd. It was this cool combo of like law, order, execution, but with a vigorous sense of honor.
Yeah, and no one fucked with them. That was a big thing. Like, you were either like, hey, a good person that make sure not to do anything, or you fucking steer clear of them. So you meant business. Yeah, they were badass. And yeah, there's weird, obviously, Stephen King stuff. Like, I think in like book 1, there's like a weird, like the Forest Stephen that you kind of get in this movie, but done way better in the book. It's like 3 different ladies and Merlin has sex with them. It's weird. It's a very strange portion of the book.
Weird sex in book 2. Like, one of the people he gathers is a serial killer, and one of them is a lady with multiple personality disorder, one of which is a psycho who like rapes a demon to death in the 3rd book to distract him from other shit. And that creates the spider baby. Like, it's weird, but there's enough regular good storytelling to balance out the weird.
Yes. Which is again why I had hopes, especially with the fucking boys on Prime. I thought, oh, Prime's perfect. They are willing to put the craziest shit on their service. If I can see on the boys a dude expand inside a dick,
yeah,
I don't think what the Dark Tower does is any more outlandish.
Well, I think what we need is like a Ryan Reynolds or a Seth Rogen. We need somebody who loves the source material so much, but has the clout to produce it and to fight for accuracy. The Dark Tower does not have that. And if it had that, we would get this.
Yeah. oh god, I would have been so stoked to get. I'm going to try to hold out hope that someone will be find a way to get those attached that really loves it, and like I said, the Seth Rogen type or someone that's like, I'm going to get this made because I love this, and it works out. I'm hoping, fucking hoping.
I think it's make a pretty kick-ass video game myself. Like imagine like Red Dead Redemption mixed with The Witcher.
Oh my god, don't even. Oh boy, I don't think we have a single Stephen King video game now that I think about it.
That never happened.
No, Killer Clowns are getting a video game, but not Stephen King.
Holy shit. I'm looking at my collection like, yeah, we've never gotten a Stephen King video game. I can't believe that. That's upsetting.
Yeah. I think I was like, oh, no, we never got it. But yeah, for those of you who haven't, if you're if you're wondering about getting into Stephen King, as you can probably tell from us, read a couple of his books first and then check out Dark Tower. It's rewarding either way, in my opinion. If you want to read that first and then get into his works, or vice versa. I think we were the same. We kind of read his other shit and then got into Dark Tower.
No, I was the opposite. I read the Dark Tower first.
Oh.
And then like branched off from there. So I was confused a couple times, but then I read Salem's Lot, and then I read The Stand, and then I was like, oh, this is what that was. So like I had that moment of like, I remember that. So it is, you're correct. Either way, like it works.
Yeah. I was the one that read other stuff. My first Stephen King book. I know we've made fun of a certain section in that book. It was it. That was my first Stephen King book. Was it? I read that, got really into it, read more stuff. I remember for like Christmas, my parents, like when I was trying to decide on what Stephen King book to get me, and I mentioned her at that point. I was like, oh, he has this book series been running a week called The Dark Tower. I told her that, and sure enough, she got on Amazon. She asked me, she's like, hey, how many books is it? Because at the time, now they have the fucking full 7-book box set.
Mm-hmm.
But at the time, they had a 4-book box set only. And I was like, all 7 books were out. So before anyone asked, all 7 books were out. I was like, that doesn't make any sense, but whatever. So she got the full book box set and then bought the Arthurs for me, and I busted through those. Probably, I think it was a Christmas gift. I busted through those. I was enraptured from beginning to end.
The school library in Blanco had quite a generous Stephen King selection, and that's where I kind of just got lost. I think the first one I read of his was The Shining, and I had already seen the movie, and I really liked the movie, and so I wanted to read the book, and I really liked the book. And I went, to Misery and The Dead Zone and Dark Tower series, of course. And yeah, I've read pretty much all of his classics. Now I'm kind of getting into, I don't want to say the lesser work, but like the lesser known work. And there's some insane gems in there, man. It's crazy what we deem as like popular when his less popular stuff is in a lot of ways just as good.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Most of his stuff is really good. There's only been a couple times where I'm like, this is kind of a slog, but most of the time I'm like, this is really good. Like I know for me, I love actually it's timely that I'm thinking about. Probably thinking about because of the recent passing of Peter Straub. But like, whereas I fucking adore The Talisman. I thought it was so good, and I got fucking into it, and I was flipping through it real quick. Man, I don't know about you, but for me, Black House, that was a slog. I was just there going, this is not nearly as good. But for the most part, I really, I like most of his shit. I need to get on it with these newer books. I'm still on Billy Summers, so I can now read Fairy Tale that's out because the dude just doesn't stop. But it was my first one. For me, it was the Blanco Library, the public library. So we lived right down the road from it, and they had a really good selection. I'd go there and get books I didn't have of his. Once I got done with my Goosebumps face, go there and just grab Goosebumps books like crazy. It was Stephen King. It was like I went right into that and would grab, and they to the point they knew me and they knew what the librarians that worked there knew who I was, knew what kind of books I was going to grab. They always saw me come in and go straight to the Stephen King section.
We had this back in Maryland. We had this kind of secondhand store for movies and books called Wonder Book and Video. Basically half price books, but East Coast version. Yeah, it's gone now, which sucks. But they had such cheap books, and I would go there and get Stephen King paperbacks, almost like preparing. Like I didn't read any of them when I was a kid, but I was like, I feel like I'm going to like this guy down the road, so I wanted to stockpile. And I'm glad I did that. I ended up with like most of his stuff just doing that. I've since like traded in all those for first edition hardcovers that I tracked down because I
Yeah.
want to own the best when it comes to Stephen King.
No, that's fair. Yeah, I kind of essentially I'm definitely a product of like my timing more than 92, where I was like Goosebumps, Scary Stories, Tell in the Dark, like all the stuff that I'm sure every horror loving person now got into as a kid my age. And then once we hit a certain age and we got the okay to read Stephen King, and we went, fuck yeah, let's do this, and fell in love with this more adult horror that, especially for me being my first one being in, I'm like, oh my god, the language and the sex, oh my god. And little me that's graduating from Goosebumps and stuff.
Yeah, it's like a rite of passage. It's Stephen King. If you haven't read a Stephen King book, like I honestly don't know what you're doing with your life. Like I get not tackling everything, but at least once.
At least one. I mean, the guy's. I mean, I know obviously he has his place in horror history. He is one of the greats, one of the the living legends of horror. But he's also considered by many scholars, many fans, to just be a damn good writer. So even if outside of the fact that he's a horror writer, I'm doing air quotes right now with that. Just check it out just because in general he's a good writer. Like we said, and like I said with when it comes to his adaptations and things, when the good ones do is they bring in that human factor he's so fucking good at. And like I stand by, one of his best adaptations is Shawshank Redemption or Stand By Me or The Green Mile, because they bring in that part that he is really, really good at, and that is characters and heart amongst all the horror and the carnage he puts in there.
Yeah. I love, even more than that, like I love his anecdotes he puts in most of his books about like where the idea came from. I think those are really cool. Just like, I was walking down the street one day and I thought, clowns are weird. And then 1,100 pages later, it. I wish I had that power to be like, oh, that's a good idea. And then just stay there for like 6 months.
It's like that Family Guy episode where he gets run over by, I think, like Peter or someone, and he's like, "Ooh, I have an idea," and he just rips up a novel before he lands back on the ground.
I remember one, it was an early one where King's like pitching an idea to his agent, and he's like, all right, so for my next book, a family is attacked by, and he's looking around the office, and he's like, lamp monster. Rah! His agent's like, you're not even trying anymore, are you? And King's like, bah, with the lamp. He's like, when can I have it? Yeah, but I mean, he's done some of his best work in the past 10 years. Like the Bill Hodges trilogy was fucking awesome.
Oh, the Bill Hodge show was great. The Institute, that was a fucking page turner for me. Holy shit,
I read that thing in about a day and a half. I couldn't put it down. That was awesome.
Yeah, that The Outsider was really fucking good.
I loved Revival.
Oh my god, dude, the ending to Revival. Holy shit.
That's the only time ever a book has scared the hell out of me. I was looking around I was looking at shadows, like I was second guessing things, like that got in my fucking head.
Yeah, that ending was, oh wow.
He's still got it. He's still going strong. His new one, Fairy Tale, came out today. I've got my copy right here.
My copy is sitting in my room right now.
I'm a loyal reader, and I will be till the day I die.
Yeah, we are constant readers, as he calls us.
Yeah, exactly.
On that note, though, unless we have more to add, I know we could probably go off this, both massive Stephen King fans, but there is a development hell today, and we should probably get started so I can get some sleep eventually. Shall we?
Why not?
All right. Oh god, here we go. All right, everyone, buckle up, buckaroos. Go South Park. Starting 10 years prior to the finished film's release, a film adaptation was announced being in the works in February 2007, which J.J. Abrams attached to produce and direct. Now, for those who remember dates with things they like, what big show was on at this time that Abrams was also attached to? Yeah, Lost. That's going to play a factor in this. Good old, and then with that, this brings up the next two people. Carlton, I think it's Cuse is how you say it. Cuse.
Yeah.
Yeah, Carlton Cuse and good old Damon Lindelof, who I kind of have mixed feelings on as a writer. Being honest here.
All concept, no delivery.
Yep. He worked on Lost with Abrams. Supposedly even optioned the rights from King for $19, which is, for if anyone who's read the book series knows, a very key number in the book series.
Yeah, King's always, he plays coy when you're buying his work, like the whole dollar babies thing, where he lets fledgling filmmakers buy the rights to one of his short stories for $1. Like, he doesn't need the money; he just wants to make sure the work is good.
Yeah, so $19 supposedly. They're definitely fans. King was fine with this amount, right? Due to being himself an avid fan of Lost, and he actually considered Lindelof as the leading candidate to write the script. But again, I actually kind of understand that was Lost's heyday. Lindelof was a big fucking deal thanks to it. Again, I'm with you. My argument is that this guy is really good at doing questions with no fucking answers ever. I've seen his other work. I can attest to my feelings.
Well, the positive here is that all the answers are in the Dark Tower franchise, so it's not like he would need to make anything up.
I know, but all the answers are in the 4 prior Alien movies, and we still got Prometheus. Yeah, I know. I'm just saying. What was I? I'm already lost. Okay. Later in March of 2007, Abrams noted the film's in the early stages of discussion, not development, discussion. So they're having their talks about what they want to do with this.
That means, Dick, I have had so many ideas in discussion.
Yep. Well, notice I said March 2007. Almost a year later, February 2008, Abrams reiterates that the film was now in the early stages of development, not discussion, development.
Getting there.
Yep.
Slow and steady wins the race.
As Abrams is known to be. Not mean to make the Lobos, but come on. How many things has Abrams announced that have actually been made compared to what has been made from him?
A lot of his recent work has mostly been like just slapping J.J. Abrams on a production that needs some adjustment.
Yep. Now, with that said, I do actually like him as a director. So, I do like a lot of the stuff he has come out with. I do generally like. I am a fan. I just do think it's fine. The guy is known for announcing stuff and it not happening. And unlike Del Toro, usually there's like outside forces that fucking happen to him. I just feel like Abrams just is like afraid of commitment sometimes.
Well, he gets excited. He's like, I'm gonna make this, and then the day comes and he's like, bad news. So I kind of get that. Like, if I was a director who was sought after in Hollywood and I had so many different people pitching ideas to me, I'd be like telling everybody, like, guess what? I'm gonna do a Dark Tower movie. Yeah, eventually, soon, I promise.
Yeah. Don't worry about the fact that I have this huge, successful TV show that was huge when it was coming out. I can't stress that part enough.
After I hand off Lost and do Mission Impossible 3 and do Star Trek, I'm gonna get right on that Dark Tower. I promise. After I talk to Disney about this Star Wars movie, then I promise.
I need to do Star Trek 2 first.
Oh.
Well, yeah, February 2008. He reiterates that. Later in September, Abrams now would admit that the project needs time he didn't have due to his commitment to Lost and wanting to do a 7-film series. I know you're saying there's 8 books. 8th book wasn't published until 2012, so keep that in mind.
And we don't really need an epilogue movie. They probably could have incorporated bits of that into the other ones.
They absolutely could have. But yeah, so that's now what he's saying in September. The thing we're joking about, he is now turning on actually doing. Hey, look, I kind of had this commitment to Lost. We want to do a 7-film series, which I get. He wants to do a movie per book. Sweet. But now it's all starting. I'm like, I may not have time to do this.
I don't know if I blame Lost, because he handed Lost off to Damon to do Mission Impossible 3, which is why Lost got so weird around season 3. So Abrams had already kind of moved past Lost. Like, I'm sure he still put his name on it, but I don't think he was calling the shots anymore. So that doesn't add up.
It doesn't, but I have personally not seen Lost. It's one of the many TV sensations I didn't watch. This one I just personally don't care to. It never really looked that interesting to me.
Oh, dude, no, man. You're trust me on this. Lost is great. Yeah.
The last time I got into a show that everyone said was great, it was this little show called Game of Thrones. And I got into it just in time for what was supposed to be an epic final season.
Hey, we all heard from that. That's not on me. Don't you put that evil on me.
I am on season 2 right now of the 90s X-Men TV show. Hopefully get done with that before the sequel comes out. So I am doing that slow and steady though on that one.
I have not committed to a new show due to our discussion of a possible project.
Yes. I really shouldn't have gotten to commit because I don't even have time that much, but I had some time yesterday to finally watch some episodes. So,
well, Lost would be a great show for that. Just saying.
Fair enough. However, in May of 2009, Abrams said that he and Lindelof were planning on starting work on the Dark Tower as soon as Lost finished its run. I don't know when Lost ended, so I don't know how long initially that would have been.
Lost ended in 2010.
Okay, so there would have been like one more season for Lost, and they would have focused on Dark Tower. Okay, so things will sound good, right? They're finally saying, "Hey, look, when Lost ends, Dark Tower's up. We got you." Remember how I said my feelings on Lindelof a little bit earlier? My hint of feelings. Lindelof, in a separate fucking interview at the same time, did reveal some apprehension regarding the project. Yep. Claiming his reverence for Stephen King could potentially get in the way of what a good writer should do when adapting, which is taking creative license.
Wrong, Damon. Wrong. Cecil Willery saying, "I love this book too much. I can't make a movie out of it."
Yes.
You lazy fuck. You just don't want to do it. I mean, Damon Lindelof, all due respect, is not a great adapter. His work is pretty half done. He's all great. He's amazing at concept. He can introduce so much cool shit. Can't quite pay it off. And I find it funny here that he's doing that to J.J. Abrams right now. Like, JJ's like, we're going to do this. He's introducing the concept, and who should fuck up the bottom half? Damon Lindelof. And also, I don't think you should take creative license when adapting another person's work. I think you should follow the work.
I think you should do it if it makes more sense to surround the movie. Because obviously a book, a movie are different mediums. So if it makes, like, sometimes what's put on the page does not translate to the screen, is what I'm saying.
Okay.
Kind of like basically what the MCU does. Like, hey, if this doesn't translate well to the screen, let's do it this way. Then I get, if that's what he's saying, I get that. But if he's saying, like, let's completely change this shit, then yes, I'm with you.
That's what I'm trying to, that's what I don't like. And that seems to be what happens to King consistently. I mean, just look at, the most recent one. That's the earlier this year, the Firestarter remake.
Firestarter, yeah.
Whew. So if that was what Lindelof was saying, like, I'm going to take this book out back and I'm going to butcher it like a fat hog, then maybe the best thing for him was to get off this project. Just, yeah.
God. Oh.
That's always what I picture when these writers say, like, oh, I took creative license. I picture them taking the book out back and just smacking it with an axe.
Jesus. Well, like I said, if he meant, I don't know what he meant by that. It's what I'm hoping was like, hey, we're obviously going to take things and kind of move some stuff around because it may not translate as well to especially the first book is really, really thin. So you're not going to, if we're being honest, you're not going to get a lot out of that first book. Not a whole lot. So I don't understand if some stuff would have to get changed for the first book, especially.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously keeping things intact, and that maybe is what he meant. is what he meant. He may have been just a big fan. He doesn't want to take anything out of that book. But I don't know. That was just his reason. And again, I'm with you. I think it's funny that Abrams is like, no, as soon as Lost is done, I'm all my focus is going to be on this. And then I was like, well, actually, hold on.
I would love if Abrams was like doing that interview on the set of Star Trek. It's like, as soon as Lost is done, this is my primary focus. I promise. Now just let me go back to this.
Chris Pine comes up behind him just out of the blue. So, hey, what's my motivation for this next scene?
Oh, JJ, if you can't do it, just tell people you can't do it. It's okay. We'll forgive you the first time.
Now we just expect it. Lindelof would continue to express weariness well into July of 2009, and now saying due to the idea of tackling this project right after Lost. So he had one reason then, and now at this point he's like, well, I don't know if I want to tackle a really big project after I've already done Lost for like, what was it, 6, 7 seasons it lasted? 6, yeah.
Sounds to me like Damon Lindelof has forgotten the face of his father.
Oh, he forgot the face of his father a long time ago.
God damn it. Well, you know, good for him, I guess. I mean, I did see who ended up writing the movie, like who did end up writing the movie, and I can't say I'm surprised it was a dud. Akiva. But we'll get to that.
Yeah, don't jump ahead here. Okay, this is phase 1 right now, Ron.
Oof.
Well, we're coming to an end of this phase, and getting ready to move on to phase 2. Don't worry. Now, with these reservations being voiced by the producers publicly, as we saw, because these were both said in interviews, the project would seemingly come to an end by the end of 2009 due to the deal being a 3-year option. So,
can you imagine if the producers like were like at some kind of stock party and are like, yeah, we're getting the Dark Tower ramped up. We got JJ and Damon from Lost. This is going to be great. And then they turn on like Access Hollywood and Damon's like, I don't know if I'm going to do this. They're like, the fuck? What the hell?
They're just calling his PR team. Why did you let him say that? Oh God. And to put the final nail in the coffin, other than the fact that there was a 3-year option, so we don't really need this final nail. Like they had 3 years, they used it up. Which apparently in Hollywood, it amazes me in Hollywood how years mean nothing to anyone.
No, going through these productions, it is amazing like how a lot of these films, like the idea starts 10 plus years before production starts.
Yeah, you would think people in Hollywood are immortal, how they just abuse years like it's fucking coke.
Well, that's why they think they're immortal. You do enough coke, you are convinced you can't die.
If you do bath salts, do you think you can eat people's faces off?
LA. What a town.
To further hammer home that this is done, in November 2009, Abrams himself would confirm he's no longer adapting the material. So he did just, I guess, to help people out, be like, hey, look, I'm not doing it.
I'm just picturing a press conference now. It's like, ladies and gentlemen, I'm out. And then he just walks away. Back to the set of Star Trek, which is where he held the press conference.
At this point, Star Trek 2 already. He is Disney executives off to the side. He's getting ready to sign a contract for fucking Star Wars.
Well, I wonder if JJ's Dark Tower would have been up to snuff.
Maybe. I mean, I don't know. Lindelof is the one that scares me. Again, I have issues with his writing. So many issues with his fucking writing. I would be worried with him adapting.
Lost deals with, a lot of, characters, different viewpoints, multiverse theory, time travel. Like, there's a lot of elements in the Dark Tower that exist in Lost. So I can see that being translated pretty well.
Okay. Maybe. Well, with that is phase 1 of this. Now let's talk about phase 2, which will be from 2010 to 2015. So 5 years now. And 5 months later, in April of 2010, Universal Pictures announced they were decided to produce a trilogy of feature films, alternating with 2 seasons of television to bridge the gaps between the films. This is actually what I remember the most. I remember this getting a lot of traction when it got announced.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember thinking, this sounds ambitious.
Yeah, I was like, this is ambitious. Let's see how this plays. It didn't play. The creatives involved with this one would involve Akiva Goldsman writing script, Ron Howard directing, and along with producing alongside Brian Grazer and Stephen King himself.
I don't think Akiva Goldsman should be there.
I really have issues with his writing, don't you?
Yeah. You know why?
Why?
He wrote Batman and Robin.
Okay.
So he can go fuck himself.
A release date. Gonna act like I didn't hear that travesty. Release date would get set for May 17th, 2013. That feels pretty fucking reasonable, announcing what your ambitions are in 2010. So I'm like, cool. Traction seems to be getting made. By December 2010, unlike fucking Abrams and Lindelof, Ron Howard is expressing tons of enthusiasm about the project and its progress. He is fucking excited. He wants to do this so goddamn bad.
Ron Howard is a good filmmaker, but his work is such a mixed bag. It's weird. He's got, Apollo 13 and the Da Vinci Code and stuff like that, but then he's also got like The Dilemma from 2011 and Inferno from 2016. It's like, is he good or is he okay? I don't know.
Yeah, for every good film he does, there's one I'm watching. I'm like, what was he thinking? I have hope on this one. Now, you ready for the wrench, the beginning wrench in this fucking wheel that's turning?
Oh, please.
Howard is, like I said, he's expressing enthusiasm. He's ready to go. Universal had yet to officially greenlight the project, though. They announced something they didn't fucking greenlight.
Why would you ever do that?
Yeah, it's begun. It's now we have creators that are like actually super interested, but now it's the studio. Phase one, studio's like, yeah, we'll do what you need, help you out, from what I gather. We had guys who were just like, yeah, maybe not. Now we have someone who's like, I'm getting this made. I want this made. And so you're going, we haven't actually greenlit this yet. I know we announced it. We haven't greenlit it. So with that said, still somehow the project is moving forward. It's at this time it was reported that Javier Bardem and Viggo Mortensen were the two key actors being eyed for the role of Roland Deschain. Both great choices. I know, right?
Oh my god, they both would have been incredible.
It was hard for. I'm like, God, they both would have been good, especially like Javier Bardem's just a great fucking actor. And then you have Viggo Mortensen, who for me, my convincing was Lord of the Rings, admittedly, because that's what my introduction to him was him as Aragorn. So I'm like, he can pull it off too. Like they could both fucking pull this shit off. And this is for anyone who's seen any or all of Hell on Wheels.
Mm-hmm.
At this time, my money was all in on Anson Mount. For those who did not watch the show, you can check him out on Star Trek Strange New Worlds, which was a wonderful show, and I cannot wait for season 2. He is acing in his pike.
He was my top choice for Roland as well. There was something about Cullen Bohannon that just made sense with Roland. I love Anson Mount.
Yeah, Anson Mount he would have been great. But probably not going to happen because this is dead in water as far as I know now. Another name that was getting thrown around was Naomi Harris for the role of Susanna Dean.
God damn it, this would have been such a great movie.
I'm telling you, like reading it, what they had in mind, like this sounds like this would have been like something.
Shit.
There's more. Not with actors, but with their approach. During an interview in January 2011, Howard stated the first one will be more action oriented, with the planned 6-episode television miniseries, as they were calling it, being a more character driven drama. So the movies would obviously be the more big spectacle, which I get. You got to get butts and seats. And then say, hey, let's make the TV shows more of character focused, and it makes sense. Like here, I'm like, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, this never would have worked. You can't. I mean, Marvel can do it because they're Marvel, but
But keep in mind they did it well over 10 years into them being Marvel. So
that
keep
too.
that in mind.
They've got the established fan base. They've got people who know what this is. I feel like not everyone's going to watch the Dark Tower TV show, and then they're going to get lost in the second movie.
Yeah, because as we saw with like when Marvel was doing their shit with like Netflix and like the Defenders run and the stuff on ABC, noticed how that wasn't exactly handled very well as far as if it was in continuity or not. Whereas now, like I said, they waited for the fan base to really grow. People know they are Marvel at this point. For lack of I can't. There's no better way to describe it than like Scorsese is Scorsese. Marvel is fucking Marvel. Like everyone knows who they are. They can get away with that now. Yes, in the case of Dark Tower, like I don't know how that would have been pulled off because obviously us King fans know it, but not many people pay attention because even now, I'm gonna say right now, I know people that are huge MCU fans that still are having to play catch up on shows because they're just now clicking thanks to things like Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness. They're like, oh shit, I have to watch those, and it's like, yes, you do. So like, even then, there are people still just now figuring out like I have to watch these.
That's crazy. Like, where have you been? You didn't hear about Loki. You didn't hear about Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Like, these were well advertised.
Yeah, especially the funny part. We kind of saw it in the reaction to in the Multiverse of Madness when people was like, "Why is Wanda bad?" That doesn't. I'm like, well, if you watch WandaVision, this all makes fucking sense.
Yeah, we're so deep into Marvel at this point. I'm not blaming them for story like a miss in story structure. It's like you got to watch all of it, or that's on you at this point.
Yeah. So yeah. So like I said, it's ambitious. I just don't know if it would have worked.
Probably not.
Yeah. Now I should also include this nice little part. He actually had a qualifying statement before he said that, which was, "I don't know if it's happening or not."
That to me means it's not happening. If you hear that in Hollywood, that means the project is dead.
So he says that and then says his plans for the film TV show. Hey, I don't know if it's happening, but this is what I want to do.
Ron, you're too precious for this world. We all have ambition. We all have marvelous ideas for what we
I
want to do, but not our
I
call.
I give him credit for really wanting to like get this made, you know?
At least
He
one person actually had some like desire to do more than just announce the project.
Yeah, he wanted to announce and actually follow through. Um with that, to further add to this confounding fucking thing that's happening, Grazer at the same damn time in a separate fucking interview once again would claim a casting announcement could be made within a week.
Communication is very important in every job on earth. You need to know what the other people involved in your shit are doing before you start talking to people about said job. That's rule number one. How, Jesus Christ.
Thought you get a kick out of that. Don't know if it's happening or not. This is my plan. Separate interview. Oh yeah, we're expecting a casting announcement to be made in like a week.
But this is the second time. I mean, first, JJ is like, yeah, we're gonna ramp up production, and Damon's like, I don't know if that's happening. Like, talk to each other, people. Jesus Christ, get your story straight before you get in front of a camera. Oh my god. Oh,
It's like a PR. This is like a PR nightmare happening. Oh, oh.
holy hell.
Let's keep adding to the confusion. By April of the same year, Mark Verheiden would join the television portion of the project to co-write and help out with that. And Javier Bardem would get cast as Roland, so he won out in a film we don't wait.
Oh.
Wait. However, only a month later, it's now being reported that Universal may be seeking another studio's help due to the project's budget being more than they could handle.
What in the hell? This is, oh my god. How does this keep There's this church that they've been building in Spain for like 300 years. This is the movie equivalent of that church. Oh my
Is there
god.
anything you want to say about Javier Bardem's casting before I completely shattered it with the other back and forth that's happening?
I honestly don't know if that really happened. Like, one person says Javier Bardem is Roland. Somebody else says, like, I don't know, we haven't cast yet. Like, who do I believe here? There's no I got nothing here. Because that's great news if it actually happened, but did it?
I don't know, but that would have been so great. I was like, oh god, Bardem would have fucking crushed this role.
God, yes, he would have. Yes, he would have.
There's more though.
I wonder if he knows he was cast as Roland in the Dark Tower. Somebody should ask him.
He's reading on, oh shit, I got casted? Did I audition for this?
He turns the page. Project canceled. Oh, well, that was quick.
Don't have to call my agent now. Let's add further confusion though. There's more to this report. Another separate report even claimed the project was on the verge of turnaround, with Warner Bros. Or Columbia Pictures possibly taking it on.
That's hilarious that Universal is like, we need help here. We can't do it. Like, has that ever happened?
I don't know. This is the same guys that do fucking Fast and Furious, so this is shocking to me.
You can handle the weight of Vin Diesel's ego, but you can't handle a movie TV combo. God damn it.
You can team up with Blumhouse to do shit like The Invisible Man, but this is too much.
Sounds like you just didn't want to do this and you're looking for an out. That's what it sounds like.
They wanted to go all in on a fucking dark universe, but this was too much. So one report is claiming that they are just seeking help. That's it. Another one says they're legit just looking at getting rid of this project completely.
Yeah, I believe that one. Because there's no way they're like, hey, Columbia, can you like take a fourth of this franchise for us? By the way, we're still in charge. Just keep that in mind. Yeah, that'll work.
It could. What did factually happen, though? I have what factually happened. Don't worry. Universal committed to a lower budget for the project, and Ghostman proceeded to write scripts to reflect that. So that is what factually happened. As far as what, who the fuck knows? There's so many goddamn conflicting reports, as we're seeing in this. What actually happened, they said, hey, give us a lower budget. They went, cool, I'm going to write some scripts based off that then.
So this went from 7 film series to 3 film series to film and TV combo series to 1 hour and a half movie.
Yes.
What the fuck? Oh, God.
Yes.
Just hearing all the better options that got kiboshed due to budget or lack of interest, it just upsets me further.
I know. This is a hefty, for many reasons, development hell. This is the truest definition of what this segment's all about. Now that we have what factually was fucking happening, what we also know for fact was production was originally slated to begin in September of 2011 before being pushed back to February 2012 or early spring. Not February 2012 and then early spring. February 2012 or early spring, who the fuck knows?
This was not a priority to anybody at Universal. That is the vibe I'm getting here.
Except Ron Howard.
Except Ron Howard. And maybe Javier Bardem if he knew about it.
Ron Howard was determined this film was going to get made. God damn it. Now, I know I just said that that's slated to begin production. I know I just said that. The project was so not greenlit.
What a shock.
And it had to happen by July 2011. A decision had to be made.
This is scaring Universal. They're like, can we handle this? And clearly they can't.
No, they can't. because by July, they decided to cancel the project due to budgetary concerns.
Universal, I used to have so much respect for you. Not lately, though. I'll just leave it at that.
All right. I don't have anything to add to that. But like we said, Hugh has remained hopeful this whole way through. Ron motherfucking Howard. Because guess what? Both King and Howard remained hopeful with them exploring various ways to get the project back on track. So they were determined this is not going to kill us.
King and Ron Howard just off to the side, no budget, no cast, no crew, just being like, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. We promise.
What if they just got told the news and they're just off to the side consoling each other, and Javier Bardem walks in and is like, so what am I supposed to be for production?
I love if they're like giving some kind of joint press conference. I love the idea of a press conference. And like they're talking about like this movie's going to happen. We're so excited. Ron Howard's phone starts ringing. He answers it. It's like, oh, canceled? Budget concerns? Not going through? Javier's out? Oh, he was never in? Oh, okay. Ladies and gentlemen, change of plans.
But don't worry, we're hopeful. We are hopeful. Hope dies in Hollywood.
This is great.
Yep. It would be confirmed in October 2011. God, the amount of dates I wrote for this, by the way, Jesus Christ. It would be confirmed in October 2011 that it was indeed still on track, with HBO handling the television portion now. So now HBO saying, hey, we'll do the TV.
They should just do all of it. HBO should be the company.
They can't. I mean, now they have House of the Dragon, so they got their clout back with that. But I would have.
Game of Thrones was not HBO's fault.
I know it's not, but you know how people are.
I know, but they were on the right side of this. They told the guys, "We'll give you more seasons, we'll give you more money, whatever you need," and they're like, "No, we're good." So don't blame HBO for that fuck up.
I know, but it actually, because I know for me, like I'm super excited for the upcoming Last of Us TV show. I could not be like more excited that they are handling that. I would have been fucking pumped to hear that HBO is like, hey, we'll just do a whole TV show based off this book series. We got you. We've done it before with Game of Thrones. We got this.
As much as I do want that, maybe don't mention Game of Thrones when they're talking about it, because that might piss people off. They're like, no, not again. No.
Can you imagine if like those things are like, don't mention it. You just hurry us and shushes them. No, guys. No. Just
HBO announces we're doing The Dark Tower, and to show run this, we have two very well-trained showrunners from one of our previous shows to helm this project, and they roll out those two fucking douchebags. I don't think they'd make it off that stage alive.
No. Ooh. So they're HBO confirms they're taking over television portions, but there's still the movies because Howard's committed to this ideal. So by March of 2012, WB, the studio that's currently sinking, but they weren't back then, they expressed interest in taking on the project. So they were like, hey, we might be interested in this. Goldsman delivered a new script for the first film to them 7 months later, with the studio having to make a decision by August. Are you ready for this part? At the same time, Russell Crowe was being talked about for the lead now.
I don't know about that.
I don't want it. I don't have anything against Russell Crowe. I think I like a lot of his movies, but I don't see him as Roland at all.
2000 Russell Crowe, maybe. Like Maximus Russell Crowe. Okay. 2011, kind of washed up Russell Crowe. I don't think so.
No.
Jor-El Russell Crowe.
No. Well, it wouldn't matter because ultimately WB would pass on it. Yeah. They passed on it. Now, with a small little company known as Media Rights Capital, or MRC, the next in line to open discussion. And yeah, before we get back to if they took it or not, from two quick little more casting things. In January 2014, Aaron Paul from Breaking Bad fame stated that he had a conversation with Howard and was possibly being considered for the role of Eddie Dean.
He was my first choice. Like he would have been absolutely perfect for that role.
Yeah, I would have been down for him. I haven't seen Breaking Bad, not because I don't want to, I just haven't seen it. But I know Aaron Paul's work enough to be like, yeah, he would probably have killed it. I don't know why. I remember when I read the book series, for some reason I had Keanu Reeves in my head.
For Eddie?
I don't know why. I don't know why.
You know who I had in my mind? Timothy Olyphant.
Oh, that'd be a good one. God, that'd be really good. I like him a lot.
Yeah, me too. Cobb Vanth. That's his character from The Mandalorian.
I know. I know that. God. But yeah, and Aaron Paul would have been a good choice. Especially in 2014, I want to say that's not too long after or as Breaking Bad's airing, I believe.
Breaking Bad ended in 2013, so he's fresh off of a lot of success.
Okay, so yeah, he's fresh off. Has the wood as his oyster, you could say, in Hollywood. It would have been, I think, a perfect fucking fit coming off of Breaking Bad for him, but unless it would not happen. And then a rumor wouldn't follow too long after this, claiming Liam Neeson was interested in the part of Roland.
No, kibosh that. Nope, no. Sorry, I don't want to see fantasy taken. I just no.
I don't want to see.
I don't want them to write in Roland's divorce and his time with the fucking CIA. I don't need that. No. I love Liam Neeson, but he has been trapped in a rut for quite some time.
What if this would have gotten him out of his rut, though? Because there was pre-taken Liam Neeson, and the guy's a fucking great actor. If you watch anything pre-taken, phenomenal actor. I'd say he's bad in his films, but he's playing the same part over and over. What if this would have broken him out? Because this would have been something different for him to tackle. He's proven he has the acting chops thanks to films like Schindler's List.
That's true. I think it sucks.
He showed he has the action chops. So I mean,
I can't see him outside of the Taken mold anymore. Like he's been doing that for so long that's all I've got.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like I know that's all I got. But I'm saying like a what if scenario he had gotten this and it broke him out. He definitely has the fucking build. The dude's tall as shit. Like I could see that.
Yeah, maybe.
Possibly. I'm not gonna put kibosh on it completely because I feel like there would have been hope that we could have gotten him out of the fucking Taken mode if this had happened.
But then we don't get the Ice Road or Cold Pursuit or the Marksman or A Walk Among the Tombstones or Nonstop. I could go fucking on.
Yeah, I'm good. And that concludes phase 2. Now for the third and final phase, 2015 into the release. By April 2015, it would be announced that Sony Pictures Entertainment, along with MRC, so they did go ahead and take it, would fast track the project with a completely reworked script by Goldsman and Jeff Pinkner. So, like, what, the 5th or 6th fucking script change this film's had now?
Ron Howard's just out.
Yeah, so Howard was out as director, but he stayed on as a producer.
He really wanted to see this happen.
He was at the very least going to see us all the way through.
You think if the money, he could have maybe steered this in a better direction.
I think he was just worn down at this point.
Yeah, probably.
He was like, whatever just gets a fucking movie out there. Bear with me. Nikolaj Arcel, I think is how you say it, would be set to direct with Anders Thomas Jensen rewriting the script.
God. At this point, just, bury it out back. It's dead.
Oh, no, they're just going to keep rewriting and going. The film would now get a January 2017 release date with only one single delay to February before it stuck to that release for good. It actually followed through with that release.
Yeah, but that was it was going to be a January. Like, let's just get rid of this piece of shit.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Even moving a month, they're like, well, it's February. It's slightly better, but still not by much.
No,
Um,
Corey deserves so much better than this.
yes, it does. Especially at this point, what it's gone through. Oh, it deserves so much better. Um, shit, what was I? Oh, from here, the last hurdle because they had a smooth production. Finally, first off, they casted actors that you see in the movie. They actually had a production. There's a finished film to prove that things are finally moving forward here. Not to our liking in the end, but they're moving forward. The last hurdle they would face though would be poor initial test screenings. We almost got saved. Apparently, test screenings were shit. Now, I know what you're thinking. Then we say our piece about the whole Batgirl situation. I am actually stand by that no film should get canned because of poor fucking test screenings. That's bullshit. But and I understand that they get random people on these things that make the dumbest fucking notes, and producers think they need to hold those things to a T. I get it's stupid, but I like to think if everyone's really fucking hating this movie in your test screening, maybe relook at your movie.
Yeah, if I don't think can it, but fix it.
Do something if it's like extraordinarily. I mean, because as we've seen on the positive side of this recently, maybe a couple of weeks ago, if it's through the roof positive, your streaming film now gets theatrical, aka Evil Dead Rise. Fuck yeah, I get to see it in theaters. Um, but with that, so they had poor test screenings, right? Sony, I kid you not, started to contemplate replacing Arcel with a more experienced filmmaker.
And just starting over.
Apparently,
Yeah, well, I think that might have been a valid option, but I don't think they
or
want to pay for that.
no, or they could have just kept Howard on as director and let him do his thing. Now that we had a studio that's willing to get the film made finally, a studio that now matches the director's passion, and somehow it's okay. Now you're going to produce. We're going to get a new director.
We need a new director on this film. Nicolaj is not cutting it. From the shadows, I believe I might be of service. Ron Howard walks in.
He just starts like he already has like all his notes and stuff lined up. He's ready to go.
He walks in with like his baseball cap that says director. He's got like, one of those bullhorns, script notes under his arm. Like he is ready to go.
I can get started tomorrow, today if you really need me to. But that's not what happened. Because as you see in the finished film, his name's still on it. Instead, Gozman and Howard advise Arcel on vaguely cleaning up the music and narrative of the film.
That was the music was not the problem.
Jesus. I just saw the vagueness of it. Like, hey, can you fix the music and the narrative? How? Just fix it.
Oh, you hear all the stuff people are hearing? We need different of that. What?
Do the opposite of whatever you're doing right now.
I don't need you to stop whatever you're doing and actually direct this movie. Could you do that for me, Nicolaj? Oh, God.
Woo! Well, I don't know if you ever actually fixed the vague fucking direction given to them. Either way, the film would finally, after 10 fucking years, get released to the public. Or again, it was a decent hit. I'd say it had an initial strong weekend for people that were like us that were like, oh my god, it's finally out. Let's see what they did. And after that, it quickly petered off. It dropped. As for critics and longtime King fans, it would get eviscerated. We kind of went over that earlier. Many had issues with them and how it just rips out the guts of in the heart of the books. Obviously people have their issues with condensing stuff like that. I don't get too much into it because I know a lot of it's going to pop up in our awards. But yes, a lot of that stuff got pointed out that I'm sure we'll talk about. Um, with that, since its release, many of the creators involved have actually acknowledged the issue with the film being PG-13, as opposed to the R-rated horror of the book series. I love how it's after the film comes out, not while they were filming. There's every opportunity to correct the problem after. It's the damage is done.
That always happens. They're always like, you know what? Drop the ball on that one. My bad. And then they just move on and they get to contaminate another project. Nobody ever learns a goddamn lesson from this shit either. Ever.
Nope. No. A sequel that was planned quickly got canceled, and a TV reboot would be shopped around. That is when we lead into what I kind of talked about at the beginning of the episode. Amazon would ultimately buy the rights, really just mainly to get Lord of the Rings, but they got that too. They got the process started. There was casting for both the Man in Black and Roland, I believe it was an actor from Vikings, got the part. But they ultimately decided not to move forward with the pilot. And the last thing I gotta say, which is going to piss everyone off here, MRC, as it stands, is still currently shopping the pilot scripts around elsewhere. They're not letting it go.
Again, no lesson learned. I hope it ends up somehow in the hands of J.J. Abrams and Ron Howard. That's what I hope happens. And they both get to do this together.
And do it right?
Yes. You give the role of Roland to Pedro Pascal, and you just let everything else fall into place.
Pedro Pascal. God, that's a good... Sorry, he's also playing Joel in The Last of Us, and I saw the quick little trailer that was part of the overall thing. He sounds just fucking like him. Oh, I don't even. Oh, okay. I'm getting like a nerd burner at the thought. I gotta stop.
Yeah, he's the fucking bomb. I love Pedro Pascal.
Yeah. But yeah, that's my co-host Connor, and ladies and gentlemen, is this week's development hell on the Dark Tower.
That was beefy. Well done.
I told you. I went to bed right after typing the script last night. I was mentally wiped, and I had to get up early for work reasons. But I got nothing more to add whatsoever. Development hell. Unless you got more to add, I think it's safe to move on to our awards.
Yeah, I think it'd be best if we all found the strength to move on. Not a lot of movies out there that hurt me. This one hurt.
It hurt. Yep, let's just get into it then. Let's do it. The Zack Snyder, the guy whose verse you will still not get because DC after a week lost their Kevin Feige again, quote unquote.
I wonder how Kevin Feige feels about people trying to find their Kevin Feige.
I would hate it. I would despise it. I feel like anytime someone's like, I want to be the next this, I'm like, no, just be you. Don't be the next that. That guy has taken that part. That person has taken that part. Just be the next. Just be you.
If I was Kevin Feige, I would mess with people. I'd hang around DC just talking about work used to be so much fun, but now I just don't know over there at Marvel. If only some other company would be willing to make an offer just to hurt their feelings.
But if he goes over there and purposely implants ideals that they're going to do or not do for the MCU just to get DC riled up, we got to beat them to
it. He pitches fake movies. That'd be wonderful. Anyway.
With that said, everyone tune in this weekend, not on the show, not on the FILMGAZM podcast, but this weekend. Not for the Ubisoft Forward and the announcement of various Assassin's Creed games, but for D23 this weekend, we'll get more MCU news and Star Wars. But they always clearly do all the MCU stuff and then second fiddle the shit out of Star Wars. It's kind of funny. They're
what's making money?
Yeah, they're oh, MCU. Oh yeah. There's Star Wars stuff is coming out.
You would have told me in 1987 that Thor and Captain America would be destroying Star Wars at the box office, I would have said you were fucking crazy.
2022, here we are. Um, Zack Snyder, the worst scene. Oh boy, what'd you pick?
To me, this went to the climactic battle between Roland and the Man in Black towards the end of the movie, where they start fighting and McConaughey whips up those rocks and it's like pew 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 pew. It's so lame. There's no big epic battle here. It's just two assholes throwing shit at each other.
Yeah, and what's crazy is like I get that would be okay. Going back to creative licensing, right? The ending of the Gunslinger, the book, that would be a case where I would get you having to take a creative license because the book ends with them talking, and then he thinks the Man in Black dying. You know, obviously for those who know, not, but you know what I mean. Like that's kind of they have their talk. They don't have a big epic duel. It's a talking about essentially what's to come, what's going on.
Well, I'm okay with that. I never viewed the Dark Tower series as like an action-packed adventure. It's a slow-paced tale of humanity and death, really. Like we don't need a climactic.
I'm not saying I'm not okay with it. I'm just saying this would be a case where if they were to say like let's make creative liberty here and maybe do a cool action scene. Okay, like obviously I have no issues like you having just a talk, but I would get it. I'd be like, okay, cool, I understand. This is a movie. You gotta you want to end on something, you know, end on a bang, basically. But with that said, like you were saying, make it epic. Make it like, okay, if we're going to do it instead of this talk, let's make the most epic fucking gunfight. This is the Man in Black and the Gunslinger duking it out, you know. And at least in the first book, something that is somewhat built up to. So you can get away with pulling off an action-packed ending. But this one just drops the fucking ball.
Nothing feels earned in the slightest. It just feels like, oh, we got to do this now. And that's a damn shame because the relationship between Roland and the Man in Black in the books is so cool and unique and tragic and freaky and obsessive. It's wild. It's the cornerstone of that whole damn series. In this, it's like, oh yeah, I got to fight you now.
Yeah. Here's my okay. I saw it. Here's Creative License, best of both worlds. Let's say they adapt the book, right? You have your big climactic shootout. Afterwards, like let's say the Man in Black is dying from his wounds, they have their talk. You have to kind of probably condense it a little bit. Obviously, you can't put every single line dialogue from the book, but condense it, but still have the heart of that talk take place after.
Yeah, that would work. But clearly, the people making this, they ignored like the philosophical side of the books and just decided, you know, oh, guns, bang bang, let's make an action movie. Pew pew pew.
I was say I was just thinking of Lego movie or Lego Batman. Pew pew pew. But, yeah, good pick. Mine I kind of has more to do with Man in Black and Roland. Because mine is when Roland and his father face off against the Man in Black. It's a poorly done scene and completely undermines, like we were talking about, the relationship between both Roland and his father, and also Roland and the Man in Black. For those who read the books, Man in Black does not directly kill his father. It's actually a fucking mind game that he plays on Roland. Roland kills his parents, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, like he tricks him into murder. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. It's like because Roland was like tricked into getting his mom to cheat on his dad. Roland freaked out. Like it was this big thing, but the Man in Black was orchestrating this whole thing, which is why in the books he has such a hatred for him. Why the relationship was so unique. It was built up. There was shit that went down that this film does not bother to explore. It just goes, yeah, these two hate each other. And then we have this scene where he just kills his father real quick, and that's the whole driving force. Like, oh, well, he killed my dad. And it's like it takes away all the nuance, all the subtlety of what made it in the book so rich and powerful. And honestly shows the true power of the Man in Black and how evil and manipulative he is. That he didn't just say, because he looked at me like, I'm just going to kill your parents. No, he's like, no, I want to fuck with you. I want to orchestrate all this shit to happen, and they're going to die by your hand, and you have to live with it.
That's what Flag does. He doesn't do anything himself. He manipulates weak-minded people into doing horrific shit in his name. And that's, Roland, like, by doing that, it shows, the flawed nature of Roland's character too, the demons he's hiding. And we never approach that in the movie. He's just a heroic gunslinger down on his luck. He's not a hero. He's done some bad shit. He has to become a hero over the course of the series. And also, when his dad died, I kept thinking, oh, he's not in good hands. Because he's played by the Allstate guy.
He doesn't have Allstate.
Anytime I see Dennis Haysbert in a movie, I just keep thinking, oh, is he in good hands?
It's funny too, because he's not a bad actor. Like, what was that No Exit from this year?
Yeah.
He was really good in that, but I remember just going, hey, it's Allstate, man.
He plays God in Lucifer in the final couple seasons. He shows up and he is fantastic in that show. I think he's a great actor, but he will always be the Allstate guy.
Yeah. But yeah, I think it's neat that we both essentially had scenes that really kind of hammered home the relationship of Roland and the Man in Black, which you could argue is one of the biggest of the many things this film does wrong. It's that it butchers the relationship so terribly, because it really was, like, to me, one of the best hero villain relationships and how intricately tied they were to one another.
Yeah. That's why you kept reading. You kept wanting, Roland to beef up his side of the war so he can take this fucker out. Like, you just wanted that to happen. You wanted to see Flag get his. It's the whole, I keep reading King's book because I'm like, one day Flag's gonna pop up again and he's gonna get his.
Yeah, and that was so cool in the books that as it goes and Roland becomes a hero, it's constantly talked about how he deeply regrets more and more what he did that day, and how he's just like, what did I do? I did that. It's, you see it play in his mind, like, this was by my hand. These were my parents. I did this. I let him manipulate me. I let him do this to me, and I'm going to fucking get him for that. And you see that in his own mindset, and why people like Jake and Susanna and Eddie are so important, because they are his family. He starts to view them as his family and a chance at his redemption.
Yeah. And they're all flawed and dealing with their own shit and trying to find peace. Like, the biggest part of Roland's character is, pain and regret more than heroism or action. He's a broken man when we meet him. I didn't feel any of that shit in this movie.
No, and even in the books, he has his moments where he shows you, oh, this guy's a fucking badass. Like, you do get in the books, like, he's a badass. You see the gunslinger come out. This one tries it, and it just does not work. They try to do shit that we'll get into it, but yeah. With that, you could just go on all day about this fucking movie and what it does wrong. But with that, let's do the Ed Wood, the worst line. I'm curious what you have, because mine, I think you'll like why I put mine as opposed to what it actually is, but go ahead.
I only have one, and it comes from the Man in Black. It's towards the end of the movie. He's walking into the portal. He has Jake, and he tells one of his dog people, have a great apocalypse. I'm like, Jesus Christ, Akiva Goldsman, why do you keep getting work? Why do you keep doing this to my favorite characters? Why do you keep turning them into jokes? And why do you keep being allowed to do it?
Stupid. Yeah, I actually almost wrote that down. So I remember hearing, I was like, why did we have to have that snappy little dialogue? That's not fucking Flag. But I'm saving a lot of my Flag discussion for a minute. hint for my fucking next one. For me, before everyone freaks out on me, let me explain. Because my line of dialogue is, the Man in Black fled across the desert and the gunslinger followed. One of the most iconic opening lines to a novel ever. It is ingrained in my head. I've seen it quoted numerous times. It is a badass fucking opening to a book. It tells you everything you need to know to get the story going. Bad guys fleeing across the desert. The gunslinger was following. Oh shit, what's going on? cue the fucking epic story that's Dark Tower. Greatest fucking opening line. Come at me for anyone that wants to say otherwise. I fucking love it. This movie throws it fucking in there like it's nothing. It's just randomly said by some lady you don't see. It's some vision lady we never see. And I would have missed it if I didn't because I watched it on your video and I forgot you have your damn subtitles on, but I was too lazy to turn them off. So I would have missed it. And then I saw it pop up and I was like, no, they didn't. They didn't just throw this in here. Why would you not start your movie with that? Or I don't know. Let's just be real and let's start this film the way it should be started, ladies and gentlemen. Visually show me the man in black fleeing across the motherfucking desert and the gunslinger following.
Yeah. It doesn't make sense in the context of the film because the man in black isn't fleeing anything. He's doing his, he's making like a shining cannon to destroy the Dark Tower. And he give a shit about Roland. Like the relationship is not that kind of relationship as it is in the book. So having that line in here is just fan service. It doesn't make sense.
It's we've talked about this before, and people talk, especially in the case of the MCU, obviously with Avengers Endgame and their use of good that was a big thing that got brought with Endgame, right? Like they use fan service correctly. They paid off shit, right? We got the Avengers Assemble line. Hey, on your left, like all that shit that was just paid off. Minus a little pandering moment they did that has been rightly ridiculed since the film came out. That's good fan service. Great fan service. This is what they talk about when people roll their eyes at the term fan service, is when you do this. Say, hey, iconic line. Every fan that reads this book knows this line. Just throw it in there. It doesn't matter. Just get it in there so they can hear it. Look, that doesn't get my nerd burner off just hearing it. It needs to have weight. It needs to either be the opening text I see. You know what? No, not or. And it needs to be with the first thing I visually see in any future fucking adaptation that possibly happens.
Yeah. Yeah. Good pick. Context is important.
Yeah. So that's what I said. Like, give me a chance to explain. I understand that cognizant line, but in this movie's case, misuses it. With that, the Steven Seagal worst performance. Who did you pick? I wonder if we have the same person or not on this one. I'm curious.
Well, when I thought of Randall Flagg, Walter O'Dim, the Man in Black, the Walking Dude, whatever you want to call him, I did not think of Matthew McConaughey. Now, I like McConaughey. I think he can play crazy really good. He can't play evil to save his life. He was terribly miscast as the Man in Black. He's not intimidating. He's not threatening. He's not fearsome. He looks uncomfortable. And I think, they should have gone with somebody else, somebody a little bit more unhinged who could have, played with it. I don't know. Willem Dafoe comes to mind.
You know what's funny? When I read this, and it's because I've seen Texas Chainsaw Massacre Next Generation at such a young, impressionable age. I did think McConaughey. I was like, look, if he can channel Vilmer, he could pull this off. He could be really fucking good in this role. And then I saw this movie and went, never mind. I was wrong because I'm with you. He's not menacing. He's not scary. He just goes around and tells people hate, and then they get hateful. And I'm like, you're clearly missing like the true power of Flagg in these fucking Stephen King universe. He doesn't just say shit like that and then people just act on it. Like he's a long game man. He's always about the long game. He manipulates. He gets you to do his bidding and finds ways for you to like convince you to do it. And if not, he will fucking convince you. Yeah. He will.
Randall Flagg is supposed to be like Stephen King's devil. Like he's the most evil, pure darkness of his world. And I didn't get that from this guy. Like I feel like I could have kicked this guy's ass.
Yeah, he literally the most he does is tell people to don't breathe. Stop breathing.
That's easy. That's not. You don't need to be a powerful sorcerer to pull that off. I feel like the guy who played him in the miniseries in the '90s did a much better job playing Flagg.
Oh, in the Stand.
Yeah, that guy disappeared. He was good.
I thought was it Skarsgård? I forget which Skarsgård was that played him in the new the reboot stand. He did a better job than fucking McConaughey.
Yeah. Bill Skarsgård in Castle Rock, who was probably being set up to be Flag. I will stand by that. Did a good job.
Yeah, literally everyone else but McConaughey. And it's weird because the guy has acting chops. We've seen it. We know he can act. We're very aware of this fact. But boy, I don't. It's like the way his demeanor, his weird dialect, like the weird speech pattern he had going on. None of it was threatening. I was like, this is not the Man in Black.
You know what would have been cool? Get like a Stephen King alumni to play Flag, like Ed Harris or John Cusack or Samuel L. Jackson or David Strathairn. You know, somebody who's done King work in the past. I think that would have been a cool thing to do.
That would have been a cool pick. Because wasn't. And then I also hate that like they literally. Okay, I know he's called the Man in Black because sometimes he wears all black, but that's not the only thing Randall Flagg wears. And I hate how this film just honed in on that.
I feel like Goldsman didn't read the goddamn book. I think he read the Cliff Notes.
He did. He's like, oh, Man in Black, easy. He wears black. It's in the title.
Give him black hair. Give him a black coat. My work is done.
He's some kind of devil magician dude. Okay, we'll work that into the movie too. Yeah. So I had a feeling we were on the same guy because I could think of no one else. Because everyone else in this movie is serviceable. I'll give them that. They're serviceable. But not McConaughey. This is wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this was during his when he was coming back too. It's the crazy part. Like this is I remember when we were starting to hear about him more and more again.
Yeah, this was mid McConaissance. I mean, he had just 3 years prior he won the Oscar for Dallas Buyers Club. Like he was on top of the world, and Interstellar and like Killer Joe. Like he done some good shit, and then he's in the Dark Tower.
Yeah, he's a bad guy in Killer Joe, and I've heard he's phenomenal at playing the villain in that. So what the fuck happened?
Well, like I said, he can play crazy very well, but he can't do evil, and there's a distinction there.
No, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I kind of like I said, I figured that would be the same. We would have same on. So now I'm curious on the next one if we had the same or different. Because there's a lot of ways I feel like there's a lot of things you can take and put into this next one. The Michael Bay, for those who are wondering. Worst filmmaking decisions. There's quite a bit we could pick from. So I'm curious on if you have the same or something different. So what do you pick?
There's so many avenues I could go down. I could talk about the PG-13 rating. I could talk about the lack of horror. I could talk about so much, but ultimately this film's biggest sin for me is condensing 8 books of material into an hour and a half and then ignoring most of it anyway.
That's pretty much where I put it. So I really like condensing an R-rated horror book series down into one 90-minute PG-13 action adventure film. So same thing, I just worded it differently. Yeah, you got away with getting the rating in there as well.
Yeah, how could you do that? Stephen King, I've never heard him talk about this. I want to know what King thinks about this movie. He's got to hate it.
I would have to pull it back up on the Wikipedia. He said something post-release, but that was like post it coming out, not too long after it came out. I don't know how he feels now.
All right, I'm going to look that up.
Oh, we're just going to take a break to just look that up.
I want to know. I want to know what he said. Here, you keep talking about shit. I'll figure this. I'll get it.
Yeah, but no, I'm with you. Like, how do we go from 7 film series, which makes sense, a movie per book, down to fucking 1 movie? It's 90 fucking minutes. Not even like let's do like an epic 2.5 hours that this film deserves.
Oh, King.
90 minutes. Take what's a very R-rated horror book series with sprinklings of other genres, and don't get me wrong. Another big one was the Western. King was very inspired by the Westerns for this. You don't make it a Western, you don't make it horror, you make it PG fucking 13 and an action adventure film.
So, in an interview with Vulture, Stephen King suggested that the film's critical and commercial failure was due to its compression of the source material and the PG-13 rating. So he was on board with that. However, he also defended the film, claiming that screenwriter Goldsman, quote, did a terrific job in taking a central part of the book and turning it into what I thought was a pretty good movie.
What central part of the book is he talking about?
Steve, I don't want to be, I don't want to argue with you. It's your work. You have final say. But the fuck.
I love Stephen King, and God bless you, listens to this and thinks we hate him or something. I love him to death. He has a tendency, unless it's The Shining, to defend every single adaptation of his that's ever come out.
Yeah, weird.
And a part of me gets it. He probably doesn't want to be that guy that just shit on, the director or the writers. I'm sure that's like disheartening to hear. Like the authors be like, I fucking hated that adaptation. But let's be realistic sometimes here.
Maybe he signed some kind of like contract that says like, please don't badmouth the movie. I don't know.
We need people to rent it at least because we did not make the money at the box office we were hoping. You know what? Unless you want to elaborate more on this condensing of it, that's a good segue for us having to be positive. And talking about the silver lining, the one positive, which goddamn was this hard for me, harder than it's been in a couple of weeks. So, what did you come up with?
Yeah, I had a rough time with this one too because I was just kind of seething the whole time. But ultimately, I gave the win to Idris Elba. He was a good Roland who got a shit movie. I think with a proper script, he really could have shined.
Yes, and he was what I would call one of the earliest of what we sure seen what's now happening with the online fucking fan bases. Because I remember so many people bitched about his casting and how, well, because Susanna is, one of her alter egos that she's incredibly racist. And that's going to affect the dynamic and blah blah. And I was like, no, it's not. I was like, if they I stand by it. Had they cast Idris Elba solely because he was black, yes, I'd have issues because you're not taking his actual audition and what he would bring to it, just the color of his skin. That yes, but I'm with you. He was really good, so they saw something in it that he could bring to the table. He was clearly the best actor for the role at the time, and I thought he crushed it. So I was cool with them. Like, hey, and I like Idris Elba. So I'm like, yeah, no, fuck it. Yeah, as soon as they cast him, I was like, hey, okay, Idris Elba, fuck yeah.
In terms of, the whole Detta Walker thing about her being super, hating white people and taking that out on Roland, it's very clear to me that in this film, they were not planning ahead on anything. So I don't think that even came into discussion.
Yeah, I'm sure that, it's like they clearly weren't thinking ahead. And even then, if they were, I'm sure there's a way to fucking work around Odetta as far as like just refiguring it out. Like,
you can have the same character, just have her aim all that shit at Eddie.
Yeah. Especially if Aaron Paul was expressing interest. Yeah, just have it aimed at the white guy you did cast. Okay. Like, Jesus.
And Roland can still be confused because he doesn't know what the fuck she's talking about.
Exactly. And you can still have the Eddie and Susanna relationship that develops. That's very sweet and kind when she's Susanna and not Odetta.
Yeah. But, going forward, it doesn't matter because we're getting fuck all.
Yeah. So, again, they're in it. I just remember thinking about it. I was like, that was one of like the earliest instances that I remember. Not saying it didn't happen before that, where people were just, oh, Roland is right. He can't be. I'm like, Jesus Christ. If he's the right actor for the job, it's the right actor for the job. Who gives a shit?
Roland Deschain does not exist. Therefore, it doesn't matter what race he is.
Yeah. But me, so for me, I did actually almost write him down because I do really like Idris Elba in the role. I do think he owns it pretty well. For me, I put the relationship between Roland and Jake. It's one of the few things from the book that's done remotely right in this film. When they do meet up, I do think they have real good chemistry with each other. Idris Elba, and I think I forget the actors who played Jake Chambers in the movie. I forget his name, but they have good chemistry. There is a bit of him being an asshole to him, which is representative of the book the first time they meet. But obviously, the movie was thinking ahead, so they didn't put the part where he goes, go, there's other words than these out there. And then, Jake dies, which actually kicks Roland to higher to start maybe a little bit nicer to his people. Um, no, all that's obviously gone, but the basis of what you get in the kind of early portions of the book with these two is apparent in the movie, and I did appreciate at least that.
Yeah, I'll give you that. It feels a little bit rushed because they had to cram all of that into an hour and a half. But what they did give you felt believable. They had pretty good chemistry. And the kid's name is Tom Taylor.
Tom Taylor. There we go. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I had. So, unless we have anything more to say about the film itself and other things we just did not like, we can move on to the awards. Or not the awards. We did the awards. Fucking what's in the box.
What's in the fucking box? Give me the gun.
Yeah, let's hear what other people have, the bones other people have to pick with this movie. Pretty reviled. A lot of the positives were like, fuck you, it's pretty good, come at me. Like just trolling people, which is always great. Thank you so much for that. 2.2 out of 5 on Letterboxd. So down towards the bottom of the spectrum of stuff we've talked about on this show. Nothing's beat Showgirls yet. Here are 5 reviews of The Dark Tower. This first one's from Raphael, not the Ninja Turtle, not the painter, just some guy. I do not fall asleep with my eyes. He who falls asleep with his eyes has forgotten the face of his father. I snore with my heart. 1.5 star. I see what you did there, Raphael. Yeah, pretty boring ass movie.
Good. Yeah. They do really butcher that fucking line. And again, another iconic line from the books, the whole like, I do not shoot with my hand. He who shoots with his hand has forgotten the face of his father. I shoot with my heart. And all that stuff. They just keep throwing it in there as like it's supposed to be this big. I don't know. The way they did it just did not land as well as it does in the book.
Well, it didn't explain to us what the hell that means. Like if you didn't read the book, you're like, what? Whose father? Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, the book explains that this is their creed. This is something they all have to learn to say and they have to live by as gunslingers.
Exactly. This next one's from the host of Triple M, whatever that means. Yeah, I'd be mad too if I followed a book series for over 30 years only to see it all turned into a lame 90-minute YA version of Last Action Hero. 1 star. And this, yeah, it's fucking young adult Last Action Hero.
God, yeah, he has a point. I know we hate it, but God, I really can imagine if you've been like you were there since the beginning or around when the 5th book came out, because I know there was that big gap between books 4 and 5 because of his car accident. Yeah. And writer's block that he talks about openly. I cannot imagine being on board that long in the books. You finally get this movie, and then this is what you get.
I think The Gunslinger came out in 1981. So, like, if you've been there since the beginning and this is what you get, yeah, I can't imagine. Wow. This next one's from Noah Biondi. Happy Easter. To celebrate, I watched a movie where Idris Elba was an interdimensional warrior who at first appeared to be some kind of antagonist, but then later on helped the main character defeat some mentally insane overactor and also had plenty of fish out of water scenarios on Earth. Don't know why he wasn't Red or fighting Sonic in this one, though. 1 star. Little Knuckles love there.
Oh, hey, look, Idris Elba was fucking great as Knuckles in Sonic 2, right? What is this magic? Oh, stairs.
Yeah, Sonic 2 was great. That was one of my favorite films of the year so far.
Yeah, that movie was great. I did forget to mention that. That was one I almost wrote that down for my first filming sessions. The amount, first off, Midward looks like absolute dog shit in this film, like not imaginative at all. Then most of this film takes place on fucking Earth.
Yeah, but like, see, in the books, you were excited for Roland to be in, our world. Like, oh my God, he's going to learn what drugs are. He's having Pepsi for the first time. Like, this is cool. But in this one, you're just like, oh, we're back in New York. Great.
Great.
We got to see Midworld for 5 minutes and now we're back in Brooklyn. Wonderful.
Sweet. Midworld wasn't even that great, but I would rather be there than Earth again.
No. This next one's from James Haves. Just thought this was rough, but true. The people who made this think you're an actual moron. 1 star. Rough, but you got a point.
Wow, he just went for the fucking juggler with that one.
I don't think one time in this entire, this film's entire run of development did anybody ever ask, I wonder what the fans want from this.
No.
Didn't matter at all what we thought. And this last one sums up my thoughts, and I think your thoughts as well. This is from, ironically, Jake.
Okay.
Is it the worst King adaptation? No. Is it the one I hate the most? Yes. 1 star.
Yeah, that does sum it up. Yeah. It's not the worst. There's way worse King adaptations out there, but I probably hate this one the most.
Yeah. Just because of what it represents, because of what we didn't get because of this just horrible movie. And knowing, the potential it has. Yeah, this is the worst.
Yeah.
This is my worst.
I would argue The Shining is a worse adaptation, but somehow a far superior film.
Yeah, I'll give you that straight up. It's a great movie, but it's a shit adaptation.
Yeah, even for those of you who haven't read the book, don't come at me. For those of you who have read the book, totally come at me if you need to.
Oh man, that's what's in the box. A lot of truth bombs are in the box this week.
That was a good one. Those guys. Ooh, all right. Well, this was a beefy episode, so let's close it out and just move on from this film and thankfully never fucking watch it again in either of our lives. But before I reveal what's on next week's before I reveal what is next week's episode, be sure to follow us on social media. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram under FILMGAZM Productions. If you want to share us a recommendation, feel free to email us at filmgazm@gmail.com. If you'd like to donate and support us in that way, you can find us on Anchor. Finally, feel free to get in on our site, filmgazm.com. I have mush mouth today. It's probably because I listened scared to death earlier. For reviews, trailers, articles, and all of our episodes. Side note, those who do listen to that show, one of the best episodes they've done this past one. Some truly fucking freaky episodes, especially from Dan. Holy shit. Scariest doll episode I think I've heard in my fucking life.
Sweet.
Yeah. Fuck that guy. Oh god. Listen to it later. Sorry. Next week we'll be looking at the totally kick-ass, critics hated it, that's why it's gonna be on here, Joel Lynch directed action film Everly. That's right, I've seen it, I'm defending it. I know you haven't seen it yet, Connor, so we'll see where you stand. So join us on that one next week.
Yeah. I'm not a big fan of the, female-led action movie that all just seems to be, carbon copies of one another, but you've endorsed this one, so I'll go into this one with an open mind.
Yes, I continue to endorse one. Josh showed me this because he's, big Joe Lynch fan. He helped get me into Joe Lynch's stuff more, and I do stand by this film. I think it's a lot of fun. I don't get why critics hate it, but if you actually look, like, they hate it, but they're like, even though they praise Joe Lynch, I'm like, you hate the film, but you're praising. Okay, whatever, critics. On FILMGAZM, straight up, for those who are, because I know it's such a fucking camp when it comes to this director. If you're not on board with this director, we get it. Don't tune in next week then. But if you don't mind, tune in next week on FILMGAZM. We'll be talking at the mostly fun horror sequel. Not as good as the first one, but I still like it. Jeepers Creepers 2. Again, just that warning in advance, because I don't want you guys to have to fucking go over that again in the episode when you already did on Jeepers Creepers 1. So we're aware of Victor Salva. If you're not on board with him, not going to hurt my feelings if you don't want to listen to that episode. If you don't care, hey, join us next week.
True. And if you don't, if you can't get your horror fix there, you can get it on Oscar Sunday this week.
Yes, because on Oscar Sunday, I will be there to help them talk about the Tobe Hooper directed, Steven Spielberg produced horror classic Poltergeist. I know we've actually squashed that beef here on FILMGAZM, but I feel like we still need to really stress that.
I feel like most of us have squashed the beef, but you have not.
It's not with y'all, it's with society now.
Well, this will be fun. Poltergeist is one of my all-time favorite, I'm just going to say favorite movies at this point. And I'm psyched to talk about it again. It's been a few years since we brought up Poltergeist and started that goddamn beef.
We've sold quite a bit of beefs. We've had that settled, and then the whole thing with TCM too got settled. I'm wondering what beef will get settled next. I think now we're looking at, potentially another big horror divisive franchise entry. We'll see if that gets settled or not this year.
When we turn off here, you got to tell me what that is. I don't know what you're talking about.
You have it on the schedule.
Yeah, but I don't know exactly what movie you're talking about.
Oh, okay.
Funnily enough, the Poltergeist beef and the TCM2 beef both got squashed on the same episode, which was TCM2.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
The only time we've ever had a successful foregasm.
Yeah. No one got Rambo'd. No one got Predator'd.
Shit happens. God damn it. Yeah. Good stuff.
Glad you're okay, Colson. on a serious note there. Until then, when attempting to adapt what many consider to be the magnum opus of Stephen King's career, maybe do two things. First, focus on one book per movie/show. Second, look into what drew fans into this world in the first place. See y'all next week on Beyond the Bed.